Blog Talk Radio.
Are you ready for more propaganda? Well, you're in the wrong place at the right time. Colombo Chronicles is for critical thinkers. Let's welcome the consumer advocate for justice. Here's the Rose Colombo.
Hi, everyone. It's the Rose Colombo, right here for you. And yes, it is a beautiful day here on the West Coast. Hope it's a beautiful day for you, too. And also, want to let you know that we do have the Justice Club included in our show. We do touch on issues that are of human nature and also about justice for all instead of for some, SOME and SUM with the $sign. We are watching our Department of Justice go to its, in my opinion, lowest level I've ever seen it, at least in my lifetime, as an advocate for justice. And I have proposed laws that I felt were needed or unjust. And I also have, sorry about that. I also have led marches and protests against injustices and legal abuses in this nation. And it appears that the laws don't matter anyway. It's a waste of time because they can rewrite them, they can change them, they can eliminate them. And if you ever notice, they never eliminate a law. They just keep either duplicating the same laws since the early 1800s, or they continue to just rewrite the law so you lose more rights, because every time they write a law for your benefit, it generally ends up that you and I and the general public are losing our liberties, freedoms, and rights and giving them up to the government, to the technocrats on Wall Street who donate to our public servants, because even the costs to run for office has been so escalated into the multi-millions that our politicians spend more time trying to get donations for every little issue that goes wrong in our country, that they don't understand that we know that our taxes are paid to them, which are around $200,000 each. So if you multiply that by, let's say, only 535 members of Congress, less all the other public servants, can you just imagine how much money we are paying them to secure the borders, which they don't do, to impose legal immigration, which they don't do, to vet illegals entering our nation, which they don't do, to deport illegals from our nation, which they don't do. Instead, they set up sanctuary cities and they force the American people to pay for their necessities of life, even if they're foreign enemies and spies in the USA, even if they are being infiltrated into our government and universities and public schools to change our American way of life, eliminate our Constitution, ignore it, trample on it, and say it's meaningless, and they will run our country by executive order, which is what China does, and that is called a dictatorship and tyranny against the people. So you can't blame one, you have to blame most of our politicians who sold out 347,000 acres of our homeland to communist Chinese citizens, not even Chinese Americans, and therefore, and sending their spies into our universities who we also spend taxes to educate, along with other foreign countries from the Middle East and from down south. So, yes, there is changes coming. They are taking away our change. Yes, they are. You're taking away our financial change, our currency, and this is all unconstitutional, illegal, unlawful, immoral, unethical, and in my opinion, is a hijacking of America's wealth by the technocrats and domestic and foreign enemies in our country who seek to overthrow the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, make them meaningless, and force everyone to march to the same drumbeat as they do in communist China, or else you will be punished, and then through AI cause you not to think anymore. You're not to use critical thinking anymore because you usually get shut down by AI on social media. The truthers do because they are called the people who are putting out disinformation and misinformation and hate speech and so forth, which is a lie, but that is how it is, and that is how it's coming down, unless the American people can unite and figure out a way to end this tyranny coming against America by the dark forces. And speaking of tyranny, I have an international award-winning book that is not just a book. It is a message for humanity, and it is needed for all people to wake up. Read this wonderful political satire that I wrote just for you, and it's a fictional Orwellian-style adventure story with the wonderful Professor Noah, the main character, who dares to enter the remote jungles of Africa where the natives do not dare to enter because they believe Obamosaurus, the majestic dinosaur who led the battle against the Judeo-Christian dinosaur nation and depopulation programs back in the dinosaur ages. And so will Professor Noah succeed? Will he go on this mission? Will he go into the remote jungles? Will he try to save humanity from the dark forces? Will he try to save the food and the clean water so humanity can survive? Or will the redistribution of wealth continue to the top 1%? Well, I think you need to read it. And you can go to, if you'd like an autographed copy, you can go to www.rose-colombo.com and get an autographed copy there. Or you can go to Amazon.com and get your non-autographed copy there on hardback, paperback, or on Kindle. And wake up and share it with the world, because the question at the end is, will humanity survive? I think that's on everybody's mind today, even though it is a fictional political satire. So we're going to introduce our wonderful guest, Barbara Charis, who's very popular, and she is going to talk to us about a serious matter related to the children and our American way of life, including what we're eating today that may not be as healthy as we are told.
Obamasaurus, the new book by Rose M. Colombo, is an updated version of a political satire that reflects the political roadmap of today's world, written with an Orwellian twist. Will humanity survive or suffer depopulation or extinction? Obamasaurus by Rose M. Colombo, available at Amazon.com.
The Justice Club is back on Colombo Chronicles Live podcast. Join Rose Colombo at noon and find out what tips she will provide in a world of little justice.
Colombo Chronicles Live. Colombo is on their trail. Listen up at Colombo Chronicles Live.
That's right. Listen up to Colombo Chronicles Live every Wednesday. I am here for you. You are never alone when you listen to Colombo Chronicles Live. Remember, injustices can happen to you, and they can happen to me. And by the way, they have. So I have firsthand experience about injustice and legal abuse, and I am the international award-winning author of Fight Back Legal Abuse, published in 2010 just for you as a self-help book so that I can help more victims of legal abuse become survivors. So watch for version 2 coming around September or October of 2023. And you can go to my website, rose-colombo.com, and pre-order an autograph copy because they do go fast. That book went global, it went viral, and people still search for it online, even though I took it out of print. But apparently people are buying it used as well. So on that note, let's enter into the world of authors and experts. And we do have an author and an expert that I enjoy speaking with because she's quite knowledgeable. She also writes for Substack, and you can find her on Substack, all of her articles. And we're going to talk to her today about what is happening in our educational system and our medical system when it comes to the children. And is it child abuse? Why are they taking away our parental rights, our guardian rights, grandparent rights, whoever has control over the children or custody of the children? And what is happening to America and how heterosexuals and Christians and pro-creation supporters are basically under a unseen attack. If you even are a pastor and are standing on a sidewalk holding a sign that talks about Jesus or the Bible, some of them are actually being arrested since 2009. And you can figure that one out by yourself. And so let's enter into the wonderful world of authors and experts, and let's speak to our wonderful guest, Barbara Charis. Hi, Barbara. How are you doing today?
Yeah, hi, Rose. I'm doing great. Everything is copacetic. But, you know, we have to be positive in this negative world and feel that our Creator is with us and things are going to work out. But I've done a lot of reading, and, you know, we were talking about what is going on right now. It's people, you know, from all angles were being attacked in order to destroy America. And what they're trying to do is literally start with our children, either get rid of them, influence them, or use them as, you know, robots, slaves, all this AI thing. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do know.
This is what America is facing.
Yes, I've been on the front lines for 30 years and experienced firsthand legal abuse and injustices. So I wrote about them and started a movement, a grassroots movement back then, AM, FM radio shows, cable TV shows, because, of course, mainstream media wouldn't allow this information. So I went around and came through the back door and created my own world of media. And it actually was called a ministry, which surprised me. And it became so popular that before the Internet, it actually ended up on the TV Guide, which was I was very honored to be on the TV Guide with that show that, you know, I created and produced and hosted, exposing some of these injustices that only the victims at the time who were victims of these abuses by the system actually were aware of and joined the movement, because most people, Barbara, back then didn't want to believe that our government, many of our government leaders, past and even current, could turn against their own country and get in bed with foreign countries and with the technocrats who are involved with the New World Order and the WAF and secret societies. Not all technocrats, not all on Wall Street, but those who are and are very wealthy. It shocks me that they would come against their own country based on greed and control, arrogance, and ego, in my opinion. What do you think about that, Barbara?
Well, I think these people that are doing it, I started reading about Tedros, you know, the Director General of the UN, and he was a total crook. He was, what should I say, a mass murderer. He didn't give a damn about his own country. And then you start saying, what makes people like that they can just, want to destroy instead of build? They want to destroy, and they really are destroyers. And this is what's happening in this country with people that want to take over. They're doing it for their own desires. They're not doing it for us. They want to get rid of the population. And so they're starting with, like the school system. And I just read, I didn't understand that the UN and WHO, World Health Organization, are working on the sexualization of children in order to destroy family values. And the family unit is is the most important basic unit of civilization. And these people have absolutely no souls. All they are, they're unhappy, miserable people who want everybody else to go to their level. And so this is where we are facing right now. So I think we have to have a positive thing, because many of us are coming from a very good place, and the good place is our Creator who made the world, and I feel that He's not going to let them win, but you have to have a positive attitude. They're coming from a very dark place when you talk about the dark forces. And we are stronger because we've got the Creator who made the world with us, who wants it to survive. So I know where, Rose, I used to be among the apathetic, where I was so involved with my own life that I had no time to think about, it was about paying the bills. Most of us are in it, how are we going to pay our bills? And we don't have time to really think about what's going on in the world. So you were a very advanced thinker that 30 years ago you were aware, totally aware of what was going on. I applaud you.
Yes,
I really
that
do.
came from that. Thank you so much. I have to thank God for that, because due to a jab, I was paralyzed from the waist down, ended up in ICU, nearly died. And so that was a life after death experience where I actually went through the vortex with Jesus and into the next dimension, where God the Father told me I was going to be on a mission. Well, I had no idea what mission he was talking about, but he also told me I would walk again and told me what to do, what to eat, and what to drink, and what to think and what to do on walking again. And so I was so excited about that, I forgot about the mission, and I didn't even know he was talking about anyway, so it didn't even, my main concern was remembering everything he told me. So, and I believed with all my heart, body, and soul that I was going to walk again. So I followed it completely to the T. And at that time, I was taking all the organic Shaklee vitamins and protein drink too. So lucky me. And I had them brought to the hospital. And so when you talk about nutrition, which you do, yes, absolutely, God says what to eat, so that you will have a healthy body and you can walk again or run again or laugh again, whatever it is that you're healthy.
And do the work like you are doing.
Yes.
And you've done it.
12 years.
You've done it.
Yes, it took 12 years before the light bulb hit, and that's when I got involved in the legal system and became a victim, and I decided I'm not going to have a pity party when I was crying in the bathroom of the courthouse and discovered what an illusion justice is, for only setting people up for a disillusionment of justice, and how the law licenses really are for many people in that profession to steal your property, your children. And this was very subtle, and most people were not aware, like myself, who truly believed in the system, because what I was taught to do as a child and a young person. And I was totally devastated. I felt like I lost my Constitution. I felt like I lost my country. I felt like I lost my flag. I could not believe what they were doing in the system. So I set up a grassroots movement because that's what the Holy Spirit told me to do. And he told me to start a movement and to write books. And so I did all of that. And I'm still doing it to this day.
I know. I think you're wonderful, and you're inspirational because you're showing you don't have. It doesn't take a fortune to do something that's very positive that will reach out and touch many people, and you've touched thousands.
Well,
so I'm saying that's a miracle.
Yeah, one editor told me when I had my cable TV show and radio shows, he saw me on TV and he contacted me, and I ended up writing a newspaper column for 2 years on injustices, and it won an award. And then the LA Press saw an article I wrote and published it in the LA Times, and then they called me and asked me to join the LA Press Club. I mean, it was God. It was all snowballing. It was God, putting people in my place to help get out the message.
The inspiration comes from within, and you are aware, and this is something that everybody should be aware, that the inspiration that we have, our strength, our energy, comes from within because we are all children of one Father,
Yeah.
And we're not separate. We're strong.
Yeah, I don't give credit to me. I give credit to God, the Holy Spirit, and Jesus, because they are the ones who kept me going even when I felt like, oh, my God, this is so difficult, God. I can't do this anymore. It's so hard, and I was trying to take care of 4 kids, fight the system, and so forth. But with God staying with me this whole time, and people would ask, how do you do this? And I said, it's a passion. It's a calling. I can't help myself. And that's what happens when you accept God's mission, right?
It's amazing. You've got your books, you've got your show, your chronicles. You're influencing a lot of people, and people don't realize how powerful one person can be when they are working with our Creator who made them. They don't realize how powerful.
Yeah, a lot of people have asked me over the years, how do you do this? I couldn't do what you're doing. And I said, well, you can either accept God's mission or you can reject it because, He gave us free will and free choice. And I said, but in my case, I said, it's a passion inside of me, and helping people understand that they need to stand up and fight back for freedom, liberty, and rights, and for God, or else we will lose our country. And so I said, my issue isn't they go, well, aren't you afraid? I go, I'm not afraid of men and women. I said, I'm afraid when I get to heaven, God will say, why didn't you do your mission? What am I going to say? I said, that's my key. And so everybody has their own way of thinking, you know what I mean? And that's my way of thinking. And I just want to make sure that everybody in the world, if we can help them while we're here, and we have knowledge and information, that they can either accept it or reject it. It's up to them. We lost our caller. We had a couple callers here, but it's okay. We love you, whoever you were. And thank you for listening too. But it's information that a lot of people, like you said, Barbara, don't have time, especially in today's world where we're so inundated with the cost of living and losing jobs to robots, and they plan on doing more of that and burning down somehow the food plants and the farms and everything were destroyed, and 18,000 cows recently burned to death. I mean, it's so obvious to me. I can't see how people could have so many scales on their eyes. And even in my book, that's a political satire, Obamasaurus, that has some funny pictures in it. using the dinosaurs as the example of how they take over and conquer a dinosaur, Judeo-Christian dinosaur nation. Even in that book, I mean, it leaves a message at the end for humans to actually think about. But I wanted to do it in an entertaining way so that people would read it, but at the end get a message, which critics say they do. So I'm happy about that. So my books are not about, it's about messages for the people. And we're only here for a short time. And so I think, like you and me, we use our time to share this, to research and try to be correct as we can. And not everybody's going to like what we say. Not everybody's going to like what we write. Nobody thinks like what we think or what we say. And many will dismiss it, of course, because that's human nature. But imagine if we can reach one person could tell another person tells another person. It opens their mind, and we're planting seeds, right?
Absolutely. I wanted to mention this, that, I mentioned a friend of mine by the name of Lisa Kastner.
Barbara, can you hear me?
She started this GMO movement back in California to get people to sign to wake up to the fact what the GMOs were doing with the food and to get them on the label. She sent me this info about the Rutgers Institute, now a WHO program developer designed to destroy children and families in the U.S. and worldwide. And she said one of our best options is to get the U.S. out of the WHO and the UN because they are out to destroy our country. And we have been supporting them financially for many, many years. And there are people in the House of Representatives right now that are trying to get bills passed. One is H.R. 79, which would take us out of the World Health Organization, is one whose agenda is the sexualization of children in order to advance pedophilia. And who knew that? And then
I was just going to say that began in the 1970s when the feminist organization began. I don't think people were paying attention. I think I was paying attention. They were actually attacking the family and housewives and saying that our jobs as housewives are useless and that we should be paid for them by the husband, and that even though he's out working to feed the family and keep a roof over their heads and give them medical care and education, etc., but their goal was to destroy the family unit, heterosexuality. People didn't realize that, what was actually happening. They used it as women have rights and they need equal pay, and we do need to fight for our rights. We do need to fight for equal pay and blah, blah, blah. But we don't need to destroy the family unit, which is the core and the basic foundation of a civilized nation, as you mentioned as well. And that without the family unit and all its divorce that began in the 1980s to no fault, we saw an increase of single-parent families and single moms going into poverty because, Barbara, at that time, they were not college educated and they did not have skills outside of the home because that's the way our society was set up until that point. So we didn't even have daycare centers. So my group was even fighting for daycare centers because the babysitters now were having to go out and work, and we didn't have as many women staying home to babysit anymore either. So it had its pros and it had its cons, and but we've gone to an extreme now, wouldn't you say?
Oh, definitely. I just wrote about everything you were saying about how when the women went into the workforce in the 60s, the two-parent home fell apart, and then the women were so busy they didn't have time to bond with their children, and other people that were paid to take care of the children really didn't fill the void the children needed in their lives because they didn't have their mothers. It absolutely has changed the nature of many people in this country because they never had this closeness that they should have developed being closer to their mother. It's very, very important, the early years, you know.
Not just that,
so I'm saying
Barbara,
it's kind of, it screwed up the thinking of the people in this country, and this is why today they've lost their respect for older people. They don't give a damn about the younger people. They haven't developed their feelings that they would have had if the mother had been there for them in the home. I know that I was there for my 3 of my 4 children, always there in the home. They always knew where I was, and the children and I were very close. And now the 4th child, when I walked out with him, it's really very, particularly raising a boy by yourself, it's a very, very difficult thing to raise a son without a man in the house. You need a man in the house. So I experienced it myself. Although I was a mother who had 3 children, older children, it was not easy trying to raise a boy by yourself. And they can get into trouble and they can get into drugs. And this, you know, you really need a 2-parent home. It's so important.
Especially today, because what we are seeing is that our government has violated the constitutional laws of legal immigration and legal vetting at the borders. And one of our presidents in 2009 changed detain and deport to detain and release them into the USA. So we had about 12 million back in under the Clinton regime, where he opened up the borders and ports to communist China. And then the technocrats were all for that because, hey, communist China, who violates human rights left and right, we're now given our intellectual property, our manufacturing jobs, our manufacturing companies, and made us vulnerable and to communist China's imports and exports and poor quality of products that they bring into our country. And there have been many incidents where people have died or been injured by these products, but nobody is looking at that in the media and the government because they're more concerned about, wow, you can pay less money. Yeah, you can pay less money, but you're not getting the quality of concern by the American FDA any longer, or you're not getting the same quality of care by those who regulate and approve the products for the American people, whether it's a can of spray, whether it's a pesticide, whether it's a piece of furniture, a baby crib, whatever. And so these people who were more concerned about making money and greedy
and trade agreements
less. Yeah, and in all of this
and getting kickbacks
for
making them. They got kickbacks for making these trade agreements. And destroyed our city, and what you're talking about has destroyed our cities, because all around the country where we had previous factories manufacturing these goods, they went out of business. The business went to China, and the cities deteriorated all around the United States.
Yeah, and now China wants to take over America. They now own the Chinese citizens. Someone in our government and technocrats sold them 347,000 acres of our homeland, which, in my opinion, is illegal, unconstitutional, immoral, unethical, not in accordance with the United States Constitution or the will of the American people, and therefore that should be null and void by the United States Congress and Senate immediately, and those properties taken back, because our homeland is called a homeland because it belongs to the American people and whose families went to war and died on the battlefields or were injured for life on the battlefields to save our homeland from a communist or Muslim Brotherhood takeover, or and this is exactly what's happening, because the KGB after World War II, they were very upset that we won the war against communism, and they vowed to continue it on. And one of the ways they were going to continue it on is what you're writing about, Barbara, which is attacking morals and education and bringing in the drugs and destroying the minds of our youth.
Yeah. Well, my husband was in World War II. He got into it as fast as he could, because at that time people used to be very, very patriotic. He put his life on the line, and he was a bomber pilot who flew 18 missions over Germany because he felt he didn't want Hitler. We knew how evil Hitler was to take over. Now, we think of Hitler as being a mass murderer, but these people that are heading the UN are worse than Hitler. And that they must have been Hitler reincarnated, because they want to destroy the majority of people in the world for their own satisfaction. You try to understand why they are, they're the heads of thinking with our children, ruining the children, taking over the country. And China now is getting very powerful in the UN. So they're all working together to destroy our country.
You better believe that Russia and China and Iran have been working together for a very long time, predicted on my AM/FM radio shows on 870 AM, Talk of the Town back then in the 90s, and other radio stations that I streamed on. And I can tell you that was predicted, and sure enough, they, in my opinion, are working together along with other world leaders, which is very difficult for me to understand why they would want to destroy their own families and their own lineage, because they're not going to be protected. I mean, if you're spraying poisons all over the world and it's in the soil, it's in the water, and you're putting all these poisons and preservatives and fructose and everything else that's making everybody fat and also addicted to all this junk food, box food, we didn't have to eat all that crap. We actually ate foods that were grown from the ground, and we ate dirt with them and pulled them off the trees and ate them like God intended us to do. Sometimes didn't even rinse them off. And look at how most people ended up living long lives without all of these diseases that even the young people today now are suffering from and dying from, which is very disturbing to me. So you're talking about sexualizing kids, but there's also the factor of this evil spiritual battle between good and evil that are also attacking the children health-wise as well. It's mental, it's physical, it's health-wise. It is totally a very dark force that's coming against God's children and all his creation. What do you think?
You have to question the industries. They say the industries have no souls, and they don't. They don't care. The only thing they care about is the money. They don't care about the soul. They don't care about their products. They don't care what it's doing to people. The care is gone. And how did we survive the Great Depression? Was families caring for one another. And they have destroyed this feeling that people used to have, that families, and friends and, the people that we know in our lives, we loved, we had feelings, but they've kind of destroyed the feelings. And one of the things with a corporation, the medical corporation, the medical industry, with these injections that they have been giving to the children over 60 years, it affects the pineal gland, which is our contact receiver with our higher source. And they've injected stuff into, substances into the body that have affected this. And a lot of people have lost contact. They don't feel the energy because this is the evil that men do to other men and women and children because they want to make money. So the corporations in this country have to be questioned, and many of them have to be, you have to say money is not more important than the people, and the people are far more important than the money. And if the people aren't here and they don't exist, they're not going to have anyone to sell their products to anyway. But it's going to destroy the country.
Well, it is destroying the country, and it's destroying our American way of life. And what really bugs me is that our children and grandchildren, after we paid all these people in public office huge amounts of money, and benefits and quirks they get and favors and special treatment, and they get vacation pay, and they get all these recesses paid, and then they get full-time, lifetime pension for doing what? For destroying our country in some cases. So, what have they actually done that's positive, Barbara, that they will stand on television and say, okay, this is the law about the open borders, and you pay our law enforcers to enforce those laws. So we are going to restore their duties, their fiduciary duties to you, the people in our country, which they swore to do and we swore to do, and we're going to uphold our sworn oath. We're going to secure those borders. But see, we have all this trafficking going on, and there's so much, I think, allegedly there must be a lot of people taking bribes, because I just don't understand how anyone could be in law enforcement or in public office and say, yeah, let all those bad dudes in, bring in that fentanyl, bring in those spies, bring in the anti-American Trojan horse males who are young, healthy guys. What are they doing with all these people? Where are they going? Where are all these healthy males going? And is it a Trojan horse? This is things that I think about. I think other people should think about them. Hey, Barbara, hold on a second. Let's see if we can get this caller. I think she may have a question for you.
Okay.
Hello? Oh, I think I just lost her. Hello? Barbara?
Yeah, I'm still here. I wanted to.
Yeah, I
wanted to say, besides HR 79, we have to contact our representatives and put pressure on them, demand, not tell them or say thank you, would you please. You are our representative. You pass this HR. Get us out of WHO. WHO is one of the major reasons America is going fast. We've got to get out of WHO. And we've also got out of the UN. And there's another bill, number 343, HR 343, which would stop our money, our taxpayer money, from going to WHO and the UN. We've got to be positive.
Thank you for presenting that HR 79. I'm going to post that as well. So hold on, I think she's back. Hi, this is Colombo Chronicles. What's your name? Hello.
My name is Bianchi. How are you?
I'm fine. Do you have a question?
I agree with with those points that you're hitting about the elements that's been trying to destroy the fabric of the United States for a very, very long time. And now we see, since the advent of Donald Trump, all these elements are coming out seemingly from many directions all at one time. And the most horrific thing that you can see going on is that they're going after our children. They're going after our children to these devious and new models, and they are vicious in their attack. You know, I have to applaud the legislatures in Louisiana who passed bills that would prevent gender reassignment and puberty blocking drugs. They passed another bill that would prevent foreigners and adversaries from owning land in Louisiana. But Louisiana's a red state, and they got a Democratic governor, Bill Edwards, and he has publicly said he was going to veto the bill that would protect kids. I can't understand it. But we got to keep fighting these people. So
yes,
I'll keep up the work.
We do.
And I think this is stemming from WHO and the UN, who want to destroy the United States, and we have no business sending our money to the UN or WHO, and it's in our Constitution that we are to use taxpayer money for our infrastructure, for our military, and our own personal domestic needs, and there's nothing in the Constitution about sending our money to support people that want to destroy our children and us.
You're absolutely right. And the federal government and these bureaucrats are making rules which become laws, and they weren't meant to be laws. Only Congress can make laws, not bureaucrats and not judges. Supreme Court cannot make laws like they're demanded that Alabama create black voting districts. That's discrimination right in front of your eyes. And how they get away with it.
We're all Americans. We should be not saying white, black, yellow, green. We're all Americans, and we're all in it together. This is our country, and we're going to take it back from the people that want to separate us. You know, what do they say? If we don't hang together, we're going to hang separately. We've got to work together and know we're all one.
Well, thank you so much.
I volunteered. I volunteered for the Convention of States, and we're trying to get people to sign a petition that take back the power from the federal government to impose term limits on them. And also, the federal government is owning land, taking possession of lands in states and restricting the exploration and extraction of natural resources that would benefit Americans and it benefit the state itself. That's totally wrong. So I concur with your program. Thank you.
Thank you so much, caller. God bless you. And Barbara, the thing is that what they do is they're pitting people against each other, and they're always, this is one of my big deals, even in my book, my first book, Fight Back Legal Abuse, is that the government is always saying, oh, it was a Black American that was doing this, or it was a Hispanic American that was doing that, or it was an Italian mafia guy. I mean, it goes on and on and on, where they're pitting people and stereotyping these individuals so that it stereotypes the entire ethnic group or race group. And that is so wrong, because then people, oh, all blacks are this, or all Italians are in the mafia, or all Irish are this, or whatever it is. That is pitting people and discrimination against people. American means we are legally or naturally born or naturalized Americans who are loyal to our country, to our Constitution of the United States, and willing to defend our nation. And and that's all an American is, and we're all Americans. And we need to get rid of all these divisions and pitting people against each other.
It's called agenda, divide and conquer. Divide and conquer. That's their program.
And they have control over the media, I mean, I've had to come through the back doors to get my information out and beat the bushes, write the newsletters, hold the meetings, hold the marches. Fortunately, God sent the media to me. It started to take off around the country in national and local newspapers and in news clips and different things like that as well. So I again say thank you, God, because it was God who actually put all these people in my movement to help. And I mean, it's eventually I'll write that story too. But it's right now I'm very concerned about our nation, like you are. And I've always said, get the UN out of the U.S. and the U.S. out of the UN. And because most of those people are communist nation or Muslim Brotherhood, anti-American nations, and their written and stated strategic goal is the same. The communist and the Muslim Brotherhood Care Organization, which is the written and stated strategic goal is to wipe out America and to dominate the world. And that's their goal. And so, we need more people in the media to wake up, because if they think that they're not going to lose their freedom, liberty, rights, and maybe their lives, they are so very mistaken. Because if you read history books and you watch the historical documentaries, you see where those leaders turn on their own families. They don't trust anybody. They turn on their own top people around them. They, wipe them out, wag the dog. I mean, seriously, they become very paranoid, and they trust nobody. And life to them is, except for their own life, isn't important. Nobody else's life is important, and you are just a number. And that's why they tattooed the Jews and all the people who were Christians or opposed communism, or else Hitler just didn't like, because they were mentally or physically challenged, or they didn't look a certain way. And so they tattooed them and with a number. So everyone to them is a non-human, a bottom feeder, and a number, in my opinion. What do you think?
I agree with you 100%. They don't really care about us. And you try to understand, though, what makes people like this. They're like robots. They're inhumane. They have no compassion for anybody else. They can kill little children easily. Anybody, get rid of them. They have absolutely no feeling. And I'm saying, what makes people like that? They are, the people that are leading us are very sick, and they're very unhealthy, and they've had their souls destroyed, and they want us to be at the same level or get off the planet. So I think we've got to hold together, bind together, and know there's more of us than there are of them. And we don't need them, and we can put them out of business by not buying or supporting their anything that they have to sell. Just reject anything that costs you money that will go to them. And we've got to stop the bill. You've got to stop giving money to other countries whose goal is to wipe us out. And I think we've got to really get focus on the Internet. There's a lot of information now about getting rid of the WHO and also the UN, because they are really bad.
Yes, and they are not our friends. And how many free nations are in the UN? Excuse me. I think we're called the minority, and our voices aren't being heard, only their voices. And so we need to bring back real politicians who were articulate speakers and defenders of the United States and the United States Constitution and the military and law enforcement and the American people, and who aren't afraid to stand up and say, God bless America, and who aren't afraid to recite the national anthem and place their heart on the heart. You know, they're free to leave if they don't like our American way of life and our Constitution, our freedom, our liberty, rights, our secure borders. They're free to live and go live in those countries where they have no freedom. That's my opinion. I hope they wake up soon. And Barbara,
I agree. I agree.
I only have a couple minutes here because we're going to be off the air too. And so please tell our audience whatever you'd like them to know on how to find you and your articles.
So very, very simple. BARBARACHARIS.substack.com. And I just put out an article today on the basic need of human beings. And it is love. And these people that are in control right now never knew love. They don't know what it is, so they want to get rid of anything that makes other people happy. So if you're interested, BarbaraCharis.substack.com. And I wanted to thank you so much, Rose, for inviting me to share with you.
Oh, you're so welcome, and God bless you, and keep up the good work, and we'll talk again. And Barbara Charis has left the building, and Rose has to leave the building. But remember, when you listen to Colombo Chronicles live or archived at YouTube, just Google in Colombo Chronicles, and I'll be there for you. And also here on Blog Talk Radio. And remember, you're never alone.
Obamasaurus, the new book by Rose M. Colombo, is an updated version of a political satire that reflects the political roadmap of today's world, written with an Orwellian twist. Will humanity survive or suffer depopulation or extinction? Obamasaurus by Rose M. Colombo, available at Amazon.com.
Well, my friends, time flies. And now is the time to say goodbye. Thanks so much for being part of the Colombo Chronicles family. You are appreciated. Please do it now. Bookmark, push that like, share, and follow button. Oh, and don't forget to comment below and stay in touch. Make your family part of the Colombo family. Until next Wednesday at noon, remember, God loves you, and so does the Rose.